Hey, how's it going, everybody? Happy Saturday to you. This is May 3rd. Tomorrow's May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Tomorrow, May 4th. Um, I want to talk about American PRIMEVAL. Man, I just watched this last week. Actually, last weekend. Uh, I first started watching this. I didn't think I was going to like it, to tell you the truth. It's Netflix. It's got gore language, sexual violence, smoking, suicide, violence. This has got I don't think it's very long. One, two, three, four, five, six. It's only got 6 episodes, but each one first episode is 48 minutes. Second episode is an hour and 3 minutes. Third episode is 51 minutes, and then the fourth episode is 49 minutes, and the fifth episode is 36 minutes. And the sixth episode is 52 minutes. But this show I didn't think I was going to like it, because here's what happened. I started watching the first episode, and I'm going to be very honest with you. I kept sitting there saying, I ain't watching this, because if this is how it was back in when people from overseas came over and took over the United States before it became the United States. I said, dang, boy, all that went on back in there. This is American PRIMEVAL. And it is, wow, it's like I said, this woman's trying to get her kid across the country because she's trying to escape something she did, and there's a bounty on her. So she's got this bounty hunter trying to hunt her down. In the meantime, she's going through all these territories that's still not currently not. It's still the United States, but it's an earlier version of the United States. It's not, everything is just not set in stone. Then they still got Indians that are still kind of putting up a fight, but they're just about done fighting. They just hanging on. And it shows how some of the Indians are helping the white man do stuff. Then there's parts of here where the Mormon wanted this land. So the Mormons killed these other white settlers. They were white people, but they were killing white settlers who was in the land that they wanted. So the Mormons put masks on and made it look like it was Indians, because they massacred these white settlers, and these white settlers said, we ain't going nowhere, we're staying put. So the Mormons wanted this chunk of land, so they was taking the land over by force. And what they was doing was they was putting on these masks, and they were acting like Indians, and they went and killed a bunch of them. So they had to make sure everybody was dead. Well, 2 people survived. It was the husband and wife. They ended up surviving. So the Indians came after everybody. After the Mormons faked that they were Indians and killed everybody, then the Indians, what was left of the Indian tribes back then, they came by, and they happened to see all these girls tied up, and then they slit their throat and kept one girl. This is some deep stuff. And so the guy survives. Then another group of people come by. I think it was the cavalry at that time. It was military cavalry. They came by and found the survivor, which was the husband. So he was determined to find his wife, because he noticed his wife was gone. But he said that it was Indians that killed all these white settlers, but it was the Mormons. So the Mormons are trying to go back and cover their tracks, because the cavalry is sending telegrams to the president and letting them know that there's been a raid of these white settlers, and they thought it was the Indians, but it was the Mormons. So they were like chasing 2 different types of, so you had the Mormons that was back. Then the Mormons, there was this fort owned by this one guy, and the Mormons wanted that fort. And so they kept coming over to the sky, and this guy just would not come off that fort. So you had all this intertwined with all 6 episodes. And the reason why I'm telling you guys about this, because if you didn't watch this, this is called American PRIMEVAL. American PRIMEVAL, and it's a limited series. It came out in 2024. But basically, it's got a lot of stories wrapped up in one. But it's a mother trying to protect her child. And she's trying to get her child across the country. And she has, but this is like untamed America. Now, whoever filmed this did a good job because it looked like untamed America, before it looks like it is today. But man, there were some shots in here. I was like, man, this is made really well. But here's the thing. I stopped watching this because I was like, I just can't get into this because it was just too, I don't know, it was just too much for me. Because he was looking at the Indian side, he was dealing with the white settlers. There was parts in here where the woman got kidnapped by the Indians, and then they end up accepting her in a tribe. They didn't rape her at all, and then she ends up finding out how they live, and then there was a point in the movie where they said, we're going to fight, and she says, no matter what you do, she goes, you're going to lose. She goes, she says, me being a white woman and all, you're just going to lose. She goes, they're going to just keep coming and coming till you're all wiped out. You better just leave and go to the reservation. It was pretty deep. It was really deep. I was like really shocked how well made this is. If you really watch this, you can really get educated through this. I don't know how accurate this is to the history, but whew, dang. Then you got the mom dealing with the little boy, and the little boy found this Indian girl had her tongue cut off because she was getting ready to get raped by this nasty old ass dude that wanted to have sex with her. Her mom was just laying there letting him have sex with her daughter, and she ends up stabbing him. So she ends up running away. In the meantime, she's running away, and then she gets caught up into this slaughter, which was the Mormons that slaughtered these white settlers because they wanted that land. But the Mormons made it look like the Indians did it, so that when the so-called military cavalry came in, they was questioning everybody, and they was saying, what Indian was this? And then there was this one Indian in here called, I forgot the name of that, the Indian guy, but the Indians did a good job, and they looked. This was really well shot because you looked at the Indians, how they live. You look at how you was hearing how she was talking about, you guys, I'm telling you, man, they're just going to keep coming, and they're just going to keep coming. Because the Indians, they was all about putting up a fight, but she just said, you're going to lose. She goes, I know. She was more or less trying to tell me, I know my culture, man, that once they dead set on taking something, they're going to take it. And of course, we know how that ended up. But anyway, then you seen the Mormons are trying to cover. In the meantime, you got this mom that's trying to get her son to California. And at the same time, you got people trying to find her because there's a huge bounty. So every time, it goes through what she was going through, and she had this guy that she would not listen to him so many times, and she got him in trouble. So it goes through what she was going through with her son and the guy that was trying to protect him. And that guy had a backstory too. And he actually was the guy that played in John Connor, I think. Remember John Connor in Walt Disney movie that flopped real bad? Well, he was the guy that was trying to tell her, he told her to shut up, do this, do that. And there's a couple times she didn't listen. She got him hemmed up a couple times, but they got out. There was one scene where she got raped, and the little boy, because she didn't listen to the guy, they got ambushed and got tied up. And so when they got ambushed and tied up, they were partying, and then one guy looked at her and lifted her head and pushed her head forward and looked from behind her. And then he decided to have sex with her. And this little boy's yelling and screaming, so they took the butt end of a gun and knocked him out cold. took her in that little thing, and they had sex with the guy. Had sex with her, which was just gross. She come out, man. You could tell she felt nasty. She just sit there, and they tied her back up. And the guy that was the guy, he was tied up, and he just looked like, his facial expression like, you got us into this mess. I told you to shut your mouth and not. He told her not to. There was a way they got set up, and she wouldn't listen why they got hemmed up. So anyway, they're still in this camp, right? So they're drinking and having fun. The other guy, now the kid's still knocked out. Before this happened, a little Indian girl took off and ran, so they didn't know where she's at. There's this Indian chick. She couldn't have been no older than 13 years old. No older than that. She had her tongue cut out. So they couldn't find her, so they kind of like forgot about her. Well, the guy with the guide, he was tied up, so he couldn't do that. So the other guy, he's dancing. He's dancing and just getting it. He walks over there, looks at her, moves her back, looks at her backside, takes her. He's gonna take her in that little thing, and he's gonna have sex with her. All of a sudden, man, this little girl comes out of nowhere, man, she set these shrubberies on fire, and she come out of nowhere running, and she set that guy on fire that had her, that was getting ready to have sex with her. He went like this, tried to look, see where that little girl went. She went running this way, and he's on fire. And while he let her go, she grabbed his gun, and I mean, she turned that gun around, and she shot him. And then she shot the guy to have sex with her. Then she shot the other guy, and then they fell down and just showed her face, and she just walked up. She just, pow. She was like, pow. She's like, pow. She had no mercy in her eyes because, this movie was really deep. There was parts in here where they was trying to survive the cold. There was parts in here where they was showing you little tidbits of a horse. A horse can only travel so far. If his shoe is wore out, the horse will start complaining, and he has to be at the bottom of his foot is getting raw and stuff. And then it showed that part. It showed how they was freezing in the cold, and he was trying to tell him how to keep warm. So he told him, he said, she goes, you have to make a bigger fire. He goes, no. He said, give me these rocks. So he took all these rocks and he put it in the fire and got them hot. And then he laid them down. And then he said, put your coat over them because it was cold out. So as soon as he put the stones down, they started cooling off. She put her coat over it and it kept them warm. I was like, huh. So it's just little stuff like that. But yeah, you guys, this is some very impressive filming. It's some very impressive storytelling. And that's so weird. I decided not to watch this. I said, I'm not watching this. So I didn't. I just thought it was just too much. I actually thought it was too much. So it was last Saturday night. I started watching episode 2 and just went straight through all of them. Like I said, there's only 6 episodes. Like I said, the longest one is an hour and 3 minutes. The second longest one is 52 minutes. And then the rest of them is 39, 36. So you're getting right straight to the point. But if you want to be deeply educated on how things was before, cowboy Indians per se, and when the United States and all the stuff they was going through and all these territorial places. Because, I mean, there's parts in here I was like, boy, these white people, man, they was really, they was pretty brutal because they were killing themselves, man. And what I mean by that, I'm not saying that in disrespect. It's just that there was things in there. They was like, damn, it was rough. I mean, you want to know if this was brutal. If you get my drift, it was brutal because there was things in there. I mean, they were killing and shooting. You talking about the Wild Wild West, but this is not a Western though. This is just a story of American frontier and how it was developed and some of the stuff that was going on and some of the it was very, it had some layers. And for it to be only 6 episodes, they did a really good job. Really good job. I was impressed. So if you guys get a chance to watch this on, Netflix has a knack of, having something good on there. That's why I keep Netflix. I wanted to get rid of Netflix, but what I did was I went to the ad tier. Well, I have to say, man, their ads are not that bad. Because I'm not paying the price I was paying before. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the ad tier. So I went to the ad tier. It's not that bad. I think they only have 1 or 2 ads every time you play something. And they're not bad ads at all. So I have to say that In closing, I have to say that Netflix and HBO has the best ad tier. Uh, Hulu Plus, their ads are horrible, horrible. But HBO, I mean Max and Netflix, their ads are pretty okay. You know, they got their ads are pretty okay. Paramount Plus, their ads are horrible. Their ad tier. Um, and then uh, the next one that could be number one is Paramount Plus. Their ads are terrible. Number two is Hulu Plus. Their ads are terrible. As far as ad tier, and yeah, I'd say number three would be uh, the oh, what's that one? Just Peacock. But Netflix and Max, their ads are cool. So that's all I got. You guys, God bless. Take care. Remember, this is called American PRIMEVAL. It's a limited series on Netflix, and this is if you want to see something that's really, really just kind of hardcore and kind of like don't pull no punches. This show is for you, man. I mean, whew, Lord. I watched that first episode. I checked out. I said, I ain't watching this. And then last Saturday night, I started watching. I finished episode 1 and I blew through them. Like I said, it's only 6 episodes. God bless.